the trucking company space. That they might think of $10,000 or $20,000.
Because you got all these trucks and they've been revoked a lot of times. They got contract, and see, they don't know how to research all that. You know what I'm saying? It just it's confusing, and I that's my opinion, because we looked at the company on accountability call, and that company been revoked a lot of times, been reinstated. They got contracts. They're a broker, and they're just a regular trucking company. So it's so much to that. They're not a typical company.
Yeah, it's not a typical company, but it's still a real high dollar fine. I never saw anything like that before. It's like, wow.
I get it, but all those trucks they had. It's just a lot to go with that story. That you know what I'm saying. They couldn't even begin to have a conversation about that.
Right. Well, they would never be a company that would go after. Yes.
But, they so anxious to look at it. So that's why I was on the accountability call. Like, this is nothing you should ever call on.
Right. That's true, but that's it's
a different story with you, but like it's so much to that because they got so many different. Like I said, they got a contract under. They got a contract under that. They are brokerage under that those numbers, and they're a regular trucking company.
Maybe talk about the dangers of trucking right now. Maybe because there's a chance of cargo theft happening right now if you're hauling valuable products. If you're a trucker.
You let them in since you're recording, or what you record?
Yeah, hold on. I'm trying to get this. What I'm over here doing is for some reason I can't get the volume on the YouTube live to stop. That's why y'all hearing each other doubling back with y'all. So y'all saying something and then it's playing on YouTube and y'all hearing it again.
I don't hear it, John. You hear it?
You hear it? I don't hear it.
Yeah, I don't hear it.
Maybe, so it must just be coming out my side then. Okay, that it must just be coming out my side. So if I know what I can do on my side for that. Okay, I was thinking that it was coming out, period. So I hadn't let nobody in because I didn't want nobody to hear that. But no, go ahead. You can let them in now if y'all not hearing that then.
You want to make us co-host?
Oh, I didn't do that yet? Oh Lord, hold on. No, I made your co-host already.
Okay, I just see the people in the waiting room. Then
Yeah.
Let them in.
Oh yeah, you can let them in.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
Stephanie.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hey, everyone.
Hello.
How's everybody doing?
Great.
Rich, how are you?
Hello.
Anybody out there stuck in that heat wave that's happening out there?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
What heat wave? It be always out here. I don't know what heat wave you talking about. It always be hot out here. Where's the heat wave at? California too.
Yeah, it was last week. It was here. Here it's nice today. It's like 76 today. It's fine. It was 103 in San Bernardino last week where I was. It was pretty warm.
It's supposed to be almost 100 here tomorrow in Wisconsin.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, with the humidity too. Not looking forward to that.
It's still wet in Washington State.
Ew.
Lots of lakes there, though. Lots of water.
Mm.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello, how are you?
Find out about yourself.
I'm doing excellent. I
Good
am
news,
doing
good news. I
excellent.
pray everybody doing well.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Let's see. Sherranda, when you cut your camera on, I'm gonna spotlight you. It won't let me do it until you cut the camera on. So I know you're probably doing something else, but when you cut it on. We're gonna get started here, guys, in just 1 second. I'm trying to do some control stuff in the back, and I'm not home. I'm on the road still. So
happy birthday, brother.
Hey man, thank you. I know I can't see nobody, but I know that Mr. Frazier.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I know that voice. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, happy birthday also.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Happy birthday. Happy
I
birthday.
say, John, now what you asked for, yeah, put it up there later because I don't have it up there.
Hello.
The one
happy
for
birthday.
August, John?
Thank you.
Am I
Yeah,
muted, John? You don't hear me?
Oh, no, John, unmuted.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a ripe 30 years old today.
The day down by her birthday, John Hoffman.
Is that right? 30 years old? I don't know if I believe that or not. I don't know.
I ain't saying that. I said the day is birthday. He told that lie. I'm not gonna get stuck on that one.
That lie was so ridiculous that Sherranda didn't even address it.
I know he's
I
half my age.
Get stuck on that. That y'all already says a heat wave. Ain't gonna lightning might come out of there. John, believe it. John, believe it.
All right, guys. So we're gonna be talking about the road checks. We got one coming up, and then we got the August as well. They'll be discussing both of those, and we'll be having some other conversations. Obviously, we know some questions are gonna come in. We're gonna answer those questions as well. So next week, Monday, I will be giving you guys the date for the 4th annual. We're gonna be doing a little bit different this year. I think better. I think we're gonna be doing it better. It's gonna be set up in a better style, a more of style that you can follow with a little bit better, a little bit easier. And of course, we're gonna do like we did last year, and we'll put the timestamps on there as well. So after it's all done, we'll go on to YouTube and put the timestamps. That way, whatever it is you're particularly looking for, you can just click that timestamp and it'll start talking right at that point. So hopefully that'll be beneficial to everybody as well once we get that done. Thank you, Shelter. Yeah, so we'll be getting all of those things handled as well. This Friday, don't forget, Friday the 17th, guys. Friday the 17th, we have our CDLP training coming. So I have seen quite a few people send messages saying, "Oh, I want to come to the CDL, but we got a Super Saturday." And I'm like, well, this is on a Super Friday, not a Super Saturday. So don't worry about the Super Saturday, guys. You can still go to the Super Saturday. So this is going to be Friday the 17th. So make sure that you are on. The law firm will be on, Alan Roman will be on, myself, and we're going to be talking about getting the CDLP certification and why it's important. So if you haven't taken it lately, feel free to join us. If you want a refresher, we'll be there to make sure we get you guys taken care of. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Sherranda Ivey so she can go ahead and get started with her introduction, and then she'll pass it over to John. Then we'll get started with some information. So thanks again for joining us, everybody, and make sure that you are getting all the information you need off the Facebook page. When I get back home, I will be taking some of those Microsoft documents that are in the file section and turning them into PDF, and then uploading them as a PDF as well. So if you already have the Microsoft, don't upload the PDF to it. There's no need for you to have both of them. We're just doing it for the people who, for some reason, can't open up the Microsoft document. We'll make it a PDF so you can grab it that way as well. So Sherranda Ivey?
Oh, I uploaded a Word document and a PDF. But some people don't know how to edit a PDF, so I did that. That's why I did mine like that.
Good stuff.
So
yes,
that's why I did that. So, but anyway, well, happy birthday, Dunbar, and safe travels to you. For those, I am Sherranda Ivey here in, look at Louise got happy birthday on her picture up there at Dunbar. So distracting. I'm Sherranda Ivey out of Byron, Georgia. Been with the company now. This is our 9th year. Actually, we just celebrated a anniversary on the day. I joined Legal Shield 9 years ago. Put ink to the paper. But anyway, 50K ring earner, Emerald Elite. We're state trainer for CDLP, Business Solutions, field trainer. And we have 2 Ladies of Justice Award for #1 field trainer of the year, top small biz producer, #2 group opener for the company. This is my major and my minor here in this space. Just working with the associates, helping them open groups and learning how to move in the space. I host an accountability call on Thursday nights. And those individuals are really doing some great things. Kudos and shout out to a lot of those that have been producing, and you see on the expos and the leaderboards and on the Blitz. So the Blitz is really truly helping a lot. So kudos and shout out to everybody who participate in that. We've, written over 1,000. I think we almost at our 2,000 mark production app award. But just love this, this space with PPLSI and just continue to build. So welcome to all the new people. So over to you, John.
Oh, you're cut it short today, Sherranda. I usually have a hard time following.
Well, I didn't want to say all that, man. They can hear it on the replay. It is
okay.
what it is. You know what I'm saying? They can hear it on the replay. I'm good.
All right.
Good. Have it all.
All right. Well, I'm John Hoffman. I'm the field trainer west of the Rockies. And I've been in Legal Shield. This is my 15th year. Anniversary coming up in August. And CDLP is near and dear to me because my prior business, my own self business, was in the trucking business as far as truck tires, where I was selling tires to these trucking companies and truck drivers individually. And I got to see a lot of their problems that they were facing because they couldn't pay for their tires. So I decided I needed to find something noble that I could sell to them and offer to them. And the CDLP plan is really the one part of Legal Shield that is really works really well. Of course, we work in conjunction with our life events plan, family plan, and even identity theft services. This is something that all truck drivers need. So that's the draw to CDLP is that we can not just sell one membership, we can sell 3 or 4 different memberships, even if it's a small business also too. And so I enjoy working with a lot of associates, long distance and local. It gets a little bit crowded sometimes in my book doing that, but I'm proud to see Willie Tilbert on the call today. He was mentioned in the training call last week as one of the top producers, Willie and Mamie Tolbert, and they were mentioned on the call last week. So congratulations to them. And so it's good to see some people on this call that are getting recognized besides Sherranda. She's always recognized. So
No, don't do that.
Okay.
No. We got a lot of people. I'm gonna name them out when you get done.
All right. All right. Well, I was on their queue. I was one of the top 10 CDLP calls, CDLP membership sold. So it's a fun plan to sell. It's fun to talk to truck drivers. They're real people. They're essential workers. They have a lot of issues facing them, and we're here to help them. All right. Back to you, Sherranda or Robert.
Let's recognize, since you recognize it, we got Gene. Gene may not be on because he works at night. Sarmento, Bob Frazier, Robert Frazier, Willie Tolbert was recognized. Quite a few on there, really, seriously, in the CDLP space. So we ought to really be proud of that, like you said. So
yeah.
But you're a CDLP trainer, not just a field trainer. So clear that up.
That's right. Well, I'm a field trainer, but my strength is CDLP. But I have school districts, and I have churches and warehouses and all kinds of companies that I service. But CDLP is my strength, and that's where I can be the most help to people that
But you're a
seek my
state
help.
trainer, though. You're a CDL Business Solutions trainer.
That's right.
Yeah, we all have a diverse book of business. You just said you were a field trainer.
Right.
You're a state trainer.
I'm a state trainer. Yes.
Yeah.
Only 1 to 5.
We're gonna open back up. We're gonna open back up. We're gonna host one day, hopefully live.
One day.
Hopefully one day we're gonna open back up.
You're gonna leave your house one of these days, Sherranda? Is that right?
I do. I do. I leave my house.
Okay.
I have an enrollment tomorrow actually at 10:30 in the morning at a Ford trucking company. So yeah, so I know they are opening back up, but I know what Sherranda means too. I think at one point at some time in the future we will be back doing some more live trainings, and those are always fun. Those are a lot fun to take, obviously, because everybody can and I'm an animated trainer. So for those that take my training before, y'all know I like to move around and make jokes and pull people up to the front of the room and all that good stuff. So I do really miss that. So I think once everything opens back up, permanently, we'll see you guys will be able to enjoy the trainings a little bit better. Not that you're not enjoying this when we're online, but nothing is like person to person. So no, absolutely. So we'll be glad when that happens. But in the meantime, we're gonna do what we can and make it all work the way we need to. So what we're gonna do? We're gonna start first on the checks. That's where you guys want to start.
That's fine.
That's good.
So I guess we can start with do we have anything to talk about on the one that's happening now versus the one that's coming up next first? We start on the one that's now and then go to the one in August, or do you guys feel like we've already kind of beat that one up enough already? I know we've been talking about it before it got here. So is there anything particular about the one that's happening first that we need to talk about first before we go into the second one?
Well, the one that's happening first is targeting all drivers, four-wheelers like you and I, as well as truckers too. They're looking for unsafe drivers. So it's not necessarily geared to truckers, but of course we're the ones that usually cause truckers to make unsafe driving decisions. One happening in August is really focusing on the trucking industry.
So the one you said that is for everybody, because really I hadn't even really caught.
Yeah, I mean I put it out CSBS the trucker site. So
so yeah, because tell me what
it's
that
a
means.
conversation we can have. But I put it out CS site.
So John, when you say that, tell me what do you mean by that? Because I don't know what that means myself. I mean, I know what you meant when you said that, but I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the law enforcement is out there looking for all kinds of unsafe driving habits, not necessarily truckers, but for all types of people. So they're not really targeting truckers per se. They're targeting everybody that's on the road. So be careful out there if you're driving out. If you're driving out there, that's the week that usually they announce these things like seatbelt weeks or cell phone weeks when they're watching for people on cell phones. But this is just a general safe driver week, where they're looking for all kinds of driving bad habits. And the one in August coming up for brake inspection, that's targeted specifically to truckers and the brakes on the trucking vehicles.
Okay. So as go ahead, Sherranda. You about to say something?
No, I was just well, I don't know, maybe I was mistaken. 22 focus areas speeding. Safe week is speeding. Because I pulled it off the CVSA site.
Yeah, sure. And it says right on the second paragraph throughout that Safe Driver Week, law enforcement personnel will be on the lookout for commercial motor vehicles and passenger vehicles engaged in risky driving.
Oh, okay. So that's still something to tell them. I mean,
yeah. Well, for themselves.
Plus you can get for postcards too.
Mm-hmm.
To send to your You can send postcards. They gave you some free postcards too.
Gotcha. As
a marketing strategy, I would say.
Okay, and that's what I was about to bring up. I was about to say, so again, and I know we've said this before, but again, sometimes it's just repetitive because either people aren't on all the time or they, so much information. Sometimes it's like you miss one thing and you hear the other. When we're talking about these brake inspections, we're talking about Safe Driver Week. Like how should, because I know it's a couple of people out there that's talking to companies and they just calling like, oh, I just calling because it's driver safety week. And it's like, if they get somebody, okay, so then what? Because you saying that to a trucking company, really, if you don't have anything to say behind that, that's not going to be enough. Saying that is not enough. So how should we be when we're calling on new companies or using this information to follow up on trucking companies that we've called before that we haven't gotten into them yet? Like, how should we be using this as a lead-in or to start a conversation that can lead into us moving the prospecting position to the next level, so to speak? Does either one of you all have any suggestions on that?
Well, Robert, I think the difference between like last month's blitz was some companies won't even go on the road. They'll park their truck. They won't even take a chance of going out there. In the case of Safe Driver Week, that's not necessarily, they can't avoid that if they're going to be on the road. They're not going through scales to get the inspections. They're just being noticed by all law enforcement that's out there. They really can't avoid it. Versus the one coming up in August, going to be brake inspection week. Again, trucking companies can't avoid that just by parking their trucks. And that's what some companies, that's embarrassingly what some trucking companies will do is they won't take that chance to make sure their trucks are safe. They'll just park their trucks and not even go out there and not get that out of service violation. Maybe they know they have, a brake situation that they are not fixing or they're going to address later on. But for Safe Driver Week, that's just for all kinds of driving habits, whether it's following too close or erratic lane change or speeding. So there's just not one thing they're looking for Safe Driver Week. They're looking for all kinds of things that are happening out there.
Actually, I used it last week, just talking about it. I had quite a few carriers that when I researched their companies, I normally put some things that I highlight in a company when I research. And a lot of them had speeding. And so my thing was your drivers already have a heavy foot. So they want to make sure that, you have something in place because, they're going to be focused on that next month. And your drivers, they already seem to be getting a lot of speeding tickets. So that's how I use it. And then just another thing is just awareness. Like Doug said last month, for years, I've ran across people saying, "Oh, I parked my trucks for 72 hours." That's just what they do. So, but like he said, this is speeding, and so they can't control, the speeding. I mean, still they can get stopped for anything, still, but that's how I used it last week, and that's how I probably use it tomorrow, and I'll continue to use it. It's always a good thing for me to have something to lead with versus talking about just the violations themselves. That's how I use it.
And it's the same with me. Like for me, again, I like to talk to people. Like I don't always have a solid strategy unless I know something's going on. Obviously, if it's a company that has a pain point that I'm dealing with, I know to stay on that pain point. But a lot of times when I'm talking to companies, I'm just talking to them. So I'm just starting the conversation in what we call an icebreaker. So I'm using the information really just to break the ice and start the conversation. And then once I start the conversation, I'll let it go where it's going. I just try to keep it, along the lines of the prospecting side of what I'm doing, because I want to stay on the sale. I don't want to start having a conversation for a half an hour with a safety manager or decision maker, and we're no longer talking about how we can help them and things like that. So it's okay to veer off a little bit because you want it to stay a conversation, but don't let it veer off so much to where you're losing the whole prospecting aspect of what you're supposed to be doing. So you do want to make sure that you're careful of that as you use this as topics, but just use it as an icebreaker. That's what I do with it. I just try to make sure I have something to say. And then once I say that and they say something back to me, then we can start talking about other things. Have you had any issues in the past with the road checks? Have you ever taken your trucks off the road just to prevent them from getting hit? Or do you just, do you do something that just, again, people like to hear themselves talk. So sometimes you have to ask questions, which you hear Sherranda say a lot on this call. And I'm sure she's saying it on her Thursday call as well. Like she's basically saying, ask questions, because when you ask questions, most of the time, you're going to get a conversation because people like to hear themselves talk. So shoot that information out there and then ask them how it's affecting them in the past, things like that, so you can get comfortable having the conversation. Once you get comfortable and you let your guys down and they let their guys down, the conversation will go positively. Even if it doesn't end in a sale, it can still go positively. So John, what's some things that you've done with that as far as using the information when you're having that conversation in person or over the phone?
Well, the one for next month, you can basically hand out to everybody, all truck drivers, not just a safety manager or a company owner, because truck drivers are the ones who should have that information available to them. Whereas the one for August for the brake inspection, that would be the one you would give to the owner of the company or the HR person or the safety manager, because they're probably ultimately responsible for making sure the brakes and the trucks are running in good operating condition. But that's the reason to talk to any truck driver with the one happening next month. Just put that information in their hand and make sure that they're aware of it, because they're the ones that are affected with it the most. And then on top of that, because of our 11-day waiting period for our CDLP membership to take effective, that's a thing you say, well, let's get this in place at least 11 days before this happens, so that if it does happen, you have a driver that's protected.
Makes sense. Any questions on any of that? I can't see the chat myself, but
I think a good opening phrase too, when you're talking to these safety managers or owners, to say, do you have any reason why you wouldn't want to, give your drivers a voluntary benefit that will help protect their license? Any reason why you would not want to make this available to them? And let them say no. And then if they say no, they wouldn't have an exception to it. That it usually is an opening to get out the group authorization form and get them signed up.
Gotcha. Can you hear me, John?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yes.
All right, I'm sorry. I know I got a little bit of lag here where I'm at. Is there any question? I want to bring up something else, but I want to make sure there's no questions because I can't see the chat.
No questions in the chat. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. All right. So I wanted to also bring up something that Jim, and I don't know whether Jim's on tonight. He normally is on Mondays, but Jim had brought up how are we actually, what are we saying to close these guys? Like when we're talking to these trucking companies, and I know it's never the same thing, but what Jim is asking is, like, when you guys are having these phone calls with these trucking companies, and when you guys are having these decision makers, like, how are y'all going in for the close? Like what is, are you just letting it just organically end up there? Or are you saying something? Do you have some particular closing language? Like, how are you turning these conversations into, hey, a sale? Like, what is that process look like? Saying, hey, so is it possible for us to come into your next safety meeting, or are you having safety meetings, or are you doing Zoom safety meetings? Like, how are you going from telling them what the product does, how it can benefit their company, to actually going into the close? And I know that in sales, there's a lot of times people can have a conversation, but they don't really know how to actually ask for the sale. So when you guys are closing these deals out as a field trainer or on your own particular deals. Like, how are you going in for the close?
I'll go. So for me, when I'm closing, whether it's field training prospects or my prospects, I've had a conversation with them. First of all, we researched the company, the associate or the field associate normally has researched the company. It's a good prospect. They having problems. So when they set the appointment with me, or if it's my prospect, when I make the dials, of course, we both have the same agenda, and that's to set the appointment. Because I don't like to do stuff off the fly. So like when I'm making dials, my goal too is to set the appointment. But if they want to have some dialogue, we definitely do that. But it's that I interrupted their day. I know that. So I look to set the appointment so they can have some focused time and they can know I'm calling. So, and then when I'm talking to them, whether it's, within that appointment or if it's on the scheduled appointment, I ask a lot of questions. I've done the research on the company and we all have access to that training, so I don't have to go into that. And I just kind of break the ice, really, like you said, just having conversations about things that I saw on the SAFER report. I think that it just has been one of my strong points is that I'm not talking general, I'm talking specifically about that company. And so when we're talking, I'm looking at the SAFER report, or I have already looked at the report. So I'm naming out things, but I'm asking questions. And while I'm asking the questions, because what I've learned is people don't like to be sold. So therefore, now we're going to mute you a little bit. You got some feedback. And so me asking the questions kind of get their feedback onto what I want the conversation to go. So I'm trying to add, bring in the value proposition so they can hear it themselves. So the questions I ask, I can turn around and close with what our plan can help them do. For a lot of times I ask them, do they have a program in place to help with fighting the violations? And then I ask them also, when they get the violations, exactly how do they handle those? A lot of them, of course, says they have consultants. And so I want to know what the consultant actually is doing, because the reason why I'm calling is because the numbers are high. So what is it that you feel your consultant's supposed to do for you? And most of the time they can't tell you. They just know they're paying them. A lot of them with their numbers are really bad. They, a lot of times they just hired these people, or they just maybe got TVC or another program, and they really haven't seen any results. But I'll say with the ones that don't have anything in place, it's a matter of, going over what we have from the questions that they have answered with me to share how we can help with the the drivers getting the violations that they do. A lot of times I ask how much fines are, or do they get the fines with them? Because believe it or not, a lot of them have these inspections and these violations, and they don't even get a court date and fines. They're just hitting the record, and so they can't really do anything about it. I ask them a lot about data queue. Do they even know about disputing it? A lot of them don't. And so it's a lot of education. And with that, it comes the question of how can you help? How can your company help? Partnering with transportation attorneys, giving them access, in different jurisdictions where their drivers don't have to go back to those counties. It's huge for a lot of companies. They're not losing a driver, trying to get back to another state, or, they're having the ability to fight something and not hit their record, or, stay on their record. So believe it or not, just educating them and having conversations a lot of times leads to the close. Do the close always happen on the first call? Absolutely not. Some do, some don't. So then it comes to, can we send you something? You know, they want you to, can you send me something? And that, can you send me something, is just a email, just a short overview of what we talked about on what our program can do. I sent out the link to the CDLP video, and I sent out a small Melissa Wilder small business plan video. And I attached the adjudication form to that. And I don't think I send a flat sheet, but but they have the video which talks. I'm all about them hearing versus, because they're not going to read that information. And that's what I send them. And then, but before I hang up, I set the appointment. When can we follow up from this conversation and from the email that will be sent to you within 24 hours? So that's how the close normally go. And so we go into the process of doing follow-up, and eventually we close the deal, or we continue to follow up. That's how that goes. Over to you, John.
Exactly, Sherranda. A lot of times it's a matter of timing. Like when you do the research on the company, we know what their problems are. Whether they know what their problems are or not is a different story. But I like to point out their problems to them, even if they know what their problems are. You'd be surprised a lot of times they just have no idea, what their SMS report looks like. And then, I always get, responses like, well, let me ask my drivers if they want it. So that's when I have overcome that by just saying, do you have any objection to offering this program to your drivers that they pay for themselves to protect their MVR and your company CSA scores? And the answer should be no. They should have no objection to that. And that's usually the close. They almost should say no to that. If they say yes, they have an objection to that, well, then you still got to, they just don't like you enough to trust you enough yet to do that. So you just have to make that build that relationship. And you build that relationship by what these handouts that are available, like for next month's safety driving week, and the month after that, the brake check week, and the month after that is the driver appreciation week. So we got a busy 90 days we have to look forward to in this business. So we have to gear up. This should be our hot time of year, especially with last month's road blitz. Trucking is front and center of everything that's happening in this country. You got the cost of diesels is an issue with truck drivers right now and trucking companies, where when they bid a job, from going coast to coast, they have to bid a job on how much they're going to charge for that. And a lot of times before they get back into town, they might have lost half their profit because the cost of diesel went up that much in price. So they're really in a volatile area where they can't afford a fine, or to have a driver get a ticket, or to have these issues happen. And then you just say for $1 a day, we can take some of that heat off of them, and just say, would you have an objection to offering this to your drivers? And and then sometimes they might say, well, they have something already called one of our competitors, whether it's TVC or Ticket Clinic, or out here we have something called Mr. Ticket. And I've been as bold to say, well, if you have it, it's not working. Let's give them something that works. All right.
Yep. No, that makes sense. That's all. Those are all good tips there. Sometimes when it comes to closing people, sometimes you have to kind of look at the behavior of the person that you're talking to. Sometimes that other person they don't know how to get something either. So sometimes they're ready and you're still talking, and they don't know how to tell you, hey, be quiet and just sell it to me, because that's not their personality. So you got to be able to look at their behavior. And head nodding, yes, is not always, they're gonna, that may mean they agree with you, but that doesn't mean that they want to buy. So just keep in mind to stay on the pain points. Like I heard both John and Sherranda say, stay on the pain points and check check with them in that process, right? Check with them. So you always want to check the temperature, and you can do that without being aggressive. And John verbalized it when he was talking about his piece. He verbalized, saying, does it make sense? Is this something you can see you guys using? Or, right, you always, like, you stop in your pitch and you ask them, see if they're ready, to buy. And if they're still not ready to buy because they still got some things that we haven't accomplished on the sale, then you go back and you do that. You hit those, you answer those questions so that they feel confident buying the product. Sherranda talked a little bit about, what she said. And I know that's a big question that always comes up because I get that email and I get that text. Hey, I just spoke to this company. They said, send them something. What should I send them? So this is the thing. When you're prospecting, you have to have that worked out all the way through ahead of time, right? Meaning that if you're serious about making a sale, you should already have an idea of what you're going to send out. That's not something that you figure out when somebody says, send me something. You should have different alternatives of different things that you send out. I don't always send out the same thing. It depends on what I'm talking to that company about particularly. And I try not to inundate them with a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm not a person that sends a lot of things because when the person looks at their email come through and they see that it's a lot, they just tell themselves, well, I'm gonna check this later on tonight when things slow down, or first thing tomorrow morning, which may never come. So sometimes you can just send a brief overview of what you said. So it's always good to just bullet point a few different things, some hot points. So if I'm talking to John or Sherranda about their trucking company, and we're touching on some points because I brought up maybe some violations and citations that I saw before that company wants to make sure that they don't continue to get and not have an attorney to fight them. Maybe that's what we stuck at, right? Hey, look, is this something that y'all can do when we get these if we have the service already? Yeah, absolutely. If you guys have the service already and you get a violation like this, these are some things that we can do to help you to make it convenient to you. Say we go down that road. If I go down that road with a prospect, then when I send them some information, when they say send me some information, I'm going to send them something letting them know, hey, we talked a little bit about being able to deal with the violation citations that could come from this point on that are similar to these that we saw right here. There are some things we can do about it, but in order for that to happen, right, you have to follow these steps. And those steps are going to be, one, you have to become a customer now before they get that violation, because it's going to be 11 days after that violation before we can deal with that at no cost. I'm going to now walk them through that process with those bullet points. So first, we need to get you set up as a group. I got some paperwork I'm going to need you to get filled out, but I'm going to fill out most of it for you. All right. Any questions that I have about the paperwork, I'll call you and we can talk about it over the phone. I may say something like that as a bullet point. If there's somebody else in the company that needs to be on that call as well, I'm going to say, hey, could you make sure that Sherranda is available? Check her schedule so that I can have both of you guys at the same time. That way, any questions that you both have, we can get them answered at the same time. Because what we don't want to happen is one of your drivers to get one of these violations again, and you don't have the plan yet, or we don't do it quick enough for it to be 11 days after we get rolling, right? I'm sticking with that sense of urgency, but I'm typing that out in bullet points because there's no material that Legal Shield has, right, that's going to cover what I said to John, particularly, right? It may be on our fact sheet, but I may not want to send them all of that. I may say, hey, this is what we talked about, right? And then if I'm going to send a fact sheet, I'll say, hey, in general, everything that we'll be able to do for your drivers in general, there's a one-pager attached that will show you that, right? And of course, if you're talking about the legal plan as well, you want to send something on that and all of those things. So it depends on, what your conversation is with that trucking company. But that follow-up is important, in that email afterwards, sending them the information to let them know is important. And if they're saying, could you send it to me right now? Right, if they're adamant about that, I would send it to them now. But I'll tell you something that I do when I talk to a company. If they're not telling me, if Sherranda's not saying, hey, could you send that over to me right now, like in that kind of a hurry, when I finish writing that email, guess what I do? I schedule it to go out at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning the next day, so that it hits their inbox then, as opposed to as soon as we hang up and they just moved on to something else and they don't see it. So that's something else as well that I use that works. And lastly, for me, I would tell you, have a system. Have a system. So Sherranda mentioned something about following up. Have a system, because there's too many of us, right, that are in business that we're just leaving follow-up to, oh, I spoke to these companies yesterday, I need to follow up with them. You just leaving it up to your memory to do that. And that's not a good system because you're not doing it consistently. You're not doing it in a timely manner because following up, we always say follow up is key, but we always leave something out. Following up immediately is what's key, right? Immediate follow-up, not just follow-up. So you want to have a system that when you finish having a conversation with somebody and you do send them something, that you put them in some kind of assign a task manager or prospect by Legal Shield, whatever you're using as a tool, so that you need to set a follow-up date after you send them what they requested, because that's going to help with your closing too. Don't wait 2 weeks later till you can't figure out what you want to do today and say, oh, I can follow up on that company I talked to 2 weeks ago. That's a really sloppy and unorganized way of doing that, and you're going to get less closings if you don't do it strategically that way. So that's my take on it. Anything else, Sherranda, John, or any questions on any of that stuff?
No, that pretty much summed it up, Robert. Very good.
Wanda asks, where can I find Melissa Peters' small biz video? Prospect by Legal Shield. That's where I got it from. Wanda. It's not in there. It might be in LS Engage, but I got it from Prospect by Legal Shield.
Good stuff. So yeah, so that's it on the closing. I guess that's as much as we can give you guys without it being so much you don't remember it all. So I think there was some pretty good tips from between the three of us on the closing thing. So closing question done. Anything else on breaks, inspections, all that stuff? Are we done with all of that? We good on that?
Yeah, we're good.
We good.
Good. All right. So does anybody have any questions that any of us can answer before we close out? We only got like 8 minutes.
Nobody asked. Anybody got any questions?
Yes, I do. How y'all doing? You know,
good
questions. But Dunbar, is there a way that I could get 3 minutes of your time?
Oh yeah. Just email me and I'll send you a link. And when you click that link,
what's your email?
Just the easiest one is just.
Let me
Dunbar.
go to a calendar.
Well, no, just Dunbar, my last name, .Robert.
Okay.
At gmail.com. Just email me and say I need an appointment link. That's all you need to say.
Okay.
And I'll email you back to that email address with an appointment link.
Okay, Dunbar .Robert at Gmail, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yep, absolutely.
Appreciate you. Appreciate all of y'all. Appreciate all of y'all. Thank y'all so much.
Oh, you got it. You got it. Anybody else? Going once? Going twice? All right, so what I'll close out with, and of course, John and Sherranda can mention some things that they plan to talk about on the training that we're gonna be doing, the 4th annual training. We are gonna be doing it a little bit different this year. In my opinion, it's gonna be better. We try to make it better every year, obviously. But we're gonna touch on the similar topics because that's the point of doing the annual training, is to make sure you guys understand how to research companies and how to take those steps and go through that process. So this year, Sherranda Ivey is going to go through the whole process of going to SAFER, showing you how to pull a company, going to FMCSA, showing you guys, what you're looking for, how to read what you're looking for, how to use it with the trucking company so that it's not being done in a way that's, too aggressive or disrespectful or whatever, because sometimes we can use the information in a wrong manner. So Sherranda's going to talk about how to deliver that information in a beneficial way to get the deal, not to turn them off by saying, hey, I got your report card and it's not good, right? Because we don't want to say that. So Sherranda's going to go over those things. And then, of course, she's going to be chiming in on some of the other things that we're going to be talking about. We're probably going to open up with John talking about different ways to research, to look for companies, right? So prospecting, right? Because before you can pull a safety score of a company, you got to have a company, you got to have prospects. So John Hoffman will talk about things like, different places that he goes online in order to find trucking companies, different tips and hacks that he uses to locate companies that are in trouble so that you've got some viable prospects. And once he goes over those different things, you'll say, okay, I know how to get my prospects. And then Sherranda is going to show you how to research those prospects. I'm going to also do a short interview with Catherine Pouillat, who is a consultant in this, and it'll be very helpful because one of the things that Sherranda brought up a minute ago is something that me and her talked about, which is Catherine will be able to talk to you guys about when you hear the word consultant from a company as pushback, how do you deal with that? Because that is what Catherine does. She's a consultant. So she'll be able to answer questions on how you deal with the consultant when that comes up in a conversation when you're talking to a safety manager or a decision maker, and how you get around that, how you have a better understanding of what they're doing so you don't feel like that means you're out the deal. Because the consultant being in the deal does not put you out the deal. But if you don't know that, and they say that, sometimes you say, okay, and you hang up the phone, but we're going to talk to Catherine so that she can let us know, no, this is how you get around that, because the consultant is only doing these things and they can kind of work in conjunction with you as a legal associate, if that makes sense. So I'll interview Catherine so we can talk about that. So one of the things that's going to be new this year is that we're going to be interviewing all the people who earned 50K rings, or any ring really for that matter, any ring earner. I think they're all 50K though. Any new ring earners who earned the ring in the CDLP space. I'll be doing an interview with them so you can hear exactly what they did to earn that ring in the CDL space. So that's going to be something that's new that we don't normally do. And the other thing that's going to be new is we're going to have a course companion, which we don't normally have. So not only will Sherranda be going blow for blow online, right in the video live, saying click this, do that, which you can always replay and get the information. And John will be doing the same thing as he shows you how to pull companies. He'll be showing you on the screen live, so you'll be able to follow what he's doing. But we're also going to have a course companion that is going to show what they're clicking on, and it's also going to have like color screenshots of where that person is at. And it's also going to have the link on there as well. So you know what website to go to, what button they click to get to another screen, because some of us learn differently. So we're going to have a course companion this year, which we don't normally have. So now you guys will have a course companion. That's new. Interview the ring earners. That's new. And normally Lamar Reynolds goes over the safer report stuff, and Sherranda chimes in on it. This year, Sherranda will be going, we'll be pulling that information. And for most of you guys know that she's in the logistics world as well as not just being in leadership and CDLP, but she really does have a business in the logistics space. So she's dealing with these companies and their safety issues and things like that on a regular basis. So it's going to be really great to hear her point of view on a lot of things that we can do with Legal Shield to help. Because I think one of the big challenges that we have is we don't really know what violations we can really help with and which ones we can't. So when you start pulling the safer report, you want to know what violations are things that we can really help in the future if it happens again, versus ones that we're not going to be that good at helping at. And I'm sure Sherranda will be able to answer some of those questions during the training on things like that as well. So it's going to be a great training as we go into that. And I'll be giving you guys the date for that training next week. Next week, I'll be releasing the date. It is going to be on a Monday night. So it's not going to be a whole nother night, but it's going to be 2 hours, not an hour. So it's not going to be 8:30 and 9:30. It's going to be 8 to 10, 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And it will be recorded like it normally is. So if anybody has to jump on and jump off, because I know you're used to 8:30 and 9:30, if you have to jump on and jump off, then you'll still be able to catch the recording because we always record it. So that's where things are going to go. So Sherranda and John, you guys want to add anything there? Or you guys good?
I'm looking forward to it.
Good stuff. Good. So that's the deal. So guys, remember, Thursday night, Sherranda Ivey's accountability call on CDLP will be happening. This Friday on the 17th, we have our CDLP certification, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Central Time. So make sure you are registered by Thursday, the 16th, 3 p.m. Central Time. If you do not register by that time, you're not going to be able to get in. So you can't wait till you get off work on Thursday because it's going to be too late. It's going to be too late. So go ahead.
I don't think you didn't say the 4th annual is not next week, right? You're announced the date.
Oh, no, it's not next week. No, absolutely not. No, it's not next week.
They're looking forward to it next week.
Yeah, it's not next week, guys. I need to talk to John and Catherine, and me and Sherranda had a conversation. I need to talk to the other trainers that's going to be training on to make sure with their schedules out to make sure they can be there at that time because the trainers got other things going on. So before I choose that date, I need to make sure that trainers are going to be available so that they can be there to do what they need to do. So next week I will have that date to put out there for you guys for the 4th annual. And again, no worries if you can't be on there live because it will be recorded. And the course companion, the link for the course companion will be in the description of the video. So when you look at the YouTube video, you'll still be able to grab that PDF when you go to look at it. So that you'll be fine on that as well. So John, anything? You good?
I'm good, Robert.
All right, guys. So if there's no more questions, and actually it's 9:32, so I guess ain't no time for no questions. We'll see you guys next week, Monday, as normal, and just stay plugged in. And we'll be talking with you guys on next week. Thank you guys again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Good night.
Thank y'all.
Thank
I'm
you.
excited. I'm excited.
Good night. Good night. Good
Good
stuff.
night.
Good stuff.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.